Hey, hey, hey. Welcome back to Chasing Shep, where Mondays are for the mind. We're live on every outlet at 6 p.m. Central Time. So hit the follow to the channel, make sure that you're notified, so you can join us every Monday. Chasing Shep is now live.
Chasing Shep, Mondays for the mind. This month we're checking in on you for mental health awareness. How you been doing? We're glad you're still here with us. We got some new guests and some returning guests. Let's vibe.
I love it.
What an intro there, man.
I love it. That's my favorite intro yet.
Gets you so hyped there at the end. You got a little crowd cheering for you. They're all going. You got a little dance off.
Really does. A lot of good vibes.
A lot of good vibes, man. And we're back today, I believe. I mean, we've had a couple down weeks.
Yeah.
On the Mondays.
Couple of them. But we're back, and we are joined by our friend Humbly G.
Humbly G.
What up? How you doing?
I just saw the Humbly G shirt.
the hair be covering it up, man. It's long as shit these days. So
that's awesome, man. That intro is so good. That last part with you guys doing in the club dancing is so good. Yeah,
it turned out really well. That's exactly what we were like going for, some weird green screen shit. So it turned out that was for the last 420 thing we did when we're tripping out.
It was a good time. Yeah.
Oh man, when you just kept holding your face.
Right, and that's that. You know, you had to bring it back, man. I had to think, like, oh man, I was always grabbing my face and laughing and giggling, and everything was party.
Hell yeah!
But how you been living, man? You been out there in LA?
Yeah, moved out here in August. Drove across the country. Took about 3 days. Big shout out, Mom, for taking the trip with.
Yeah,
definitely made that a lot easier.
Yeah, moms. Shout out to all moms. Mother's Day is this weekend, so go celebrate your moms.
Show love, and even if you got a mom that is not blood related but who still took care of you, also shout out to those moms.
Absolutely,
very important. Those moms are very important.
Absolutely.
The adopted
so
moms.
You and your mom, you made the trek.
Yeah, came out here for a job, working with a celebrity vocal coach.
Oh, and so it begins.
G has the Shep problem today, so bear with us. We all know this problem.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Okay, celebrity vocal coach. He's
the freezing.
Oh, okay.
So, I was saying he's
the celebrity vocal coach, but I was working with this agency that had them as the primary client, and we've since picked up kind of one or two here in the meantime, and we're just seeing what we can do to help people, because that's really our big goal, is to
help the people. I vibe with that.
Yeah,
I vibe with that. I mean, that was kind of to pick up in on you for when you come back in. That was kind of our whole vibe here in Champaign, was trying to help the community.
Yeah, it really was just trying to find people who we thought were high achievers, were very committed and capable, and all they needed, hey, what up, Solo? All they needed was a few resources, maybe a little extra help in one department, just a little bit of knowledge here, or just, in some instances, people just needing to get explained how royalties work, or how to get signed up for a publishing rights organization. There's so many outlets and things that you need to know about these days when you're an entrepreneur. And if you're an artist, you're an entrepreneur. Whether or not you are knowledgeable on the business side is a separate issue, but that undeniably is something that, you know, there's a lot of potential for you to learn about and be able to do more. And the more you know, the easier it is to make sure that you're being taken care of in deals, even if you're not the one closing them or going and seeking them out. So that's a big thing.
Yeah, that is, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You definitely were full of knowledge. You taught me everything, a lot of the stuff I know, to take the power in my own hands and make the beats from scratch and make it sound good and whatnot. So I've always been really glad that you got to get out there with a huge more bass than we have here in the 217 as far as music and, you know, like just like you were saying, even arts or probably acting out there. I mean, there's a lot of different things that even you knowing how to trademark yourself as an artist, I feel like you'd have a lot of knowledge on.
There's a lot of potential. There's definitely a lot of potential. There's there's a very big audience. There's a lot of people that are wanting to do the sort of thing. One big challenge I've been, you know, meeting as I come here, which is unsurprising, is just having to reestablish myself, make a new network, get my name and visibility out there. Because a lot of the people out here, while they want the knowledge, they also it's half they want the knowledge and it's half they want to have shown up to the right place and right person's thing, and then they put that on their resume or portfolio, and that kind of helps them, the whole fake it till you make it thing. There are some people that are more interested in the slow, like step by step thing, but more and more it seems, especially when you're younger, there's this pressure that you have to find the shortcuts, that you have to find the people that are just going to do it for you, that you know, are just going to hand you things on a silver platter. And if you're talented enough, you can sometimes provide enough leverage. But honestly, even if you're talented enough, there's so many talented people that it's not just talent.
Not just talent. I feel
Not just talent. Not just talent.
It's
Yeah,
probably,
you got to have something to leverage. You got to
Yeah.
have a product, a service, a thing that's had a proof of concept. That's a huge thing. Is if you've done it and you've had it successful in these realms that you're going for, then all of a sudden you can start skip jumping and, you know, get an investor for this and get someone that wants to go in on this and do a collaboration or a partnership. You can get brand deals. And really, like, once you've done something with Sony, it's a little bit easier to go to Taco Bell and be like, hey, you want to do this thing? Like, so.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm echoing his sentiment that I'm glad you're out there doing this. I was watching the music videos we worked on together not too long ago, and as I was watching them, I'm just like, God, I miss this. Like, I those are some of my favorite videos that I've done, like, for real. Like, and I haven't been able to match that energy with like a music project yet, I feel like. And I was just like, but I've always loved your music, and so I'm definitely glad you're out there spreading the knowledge and doing your thing, man. I'm glad to hear it. Is he frozen? He is. Okay.
A lot of fun there. Am I back?
Yeah,
Am I
you're back.
He's back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that means a lot, man. I really appreciate that.
Of course. It was a good time. I can't tell when he freezes sometimes. Now he's definitely frozen.
No, you're back now, but that was timed perfectly. You said you appreciate him and then froze, so that was.
that's the main point. Oh man.
Appreciate it, Solo.
Solo.
What?
That's love.
You guys got Humbly. What do you mean? Weren't you just on the show 2 weeks ago?
That is true.
He just looks so touched. You did when you froze.
I was pretty touched. I was like, oh. Yeah. I mean, you know, I never really got to do any music videos for myself until we were working on those a couple of years ago. And even now, it's interesting looking back and being like, wow, those feel like there was something very professional that felt about them, and like the energy and the way that just everything came together, and it was very natural. Like there wasn't a whole huge scripting process or any of that type of thing. And I'm thinking more and more that is something I need to just lean more into, is just the, hey, just do it,
Yeah.
just do it thing. And that is definitely something that you can see out here too. The people who are gaining a lot of momentum, who are gaining a lot of leverage, attention, etc., are the people who are whenever there's a problem, they don't say the word problem, they just say opportunity or challenge, and it's just a question.
Yeah.
I feel that though. I mean, I do feel that. I mean, I feel like we do that in what we do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we've just, gone the approach that you just do it and you refine it as you go, but never stop doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, you guys know better than I, but from what little I've seen on the outside looking in, it seems to be working well for you. It seems to be gaining attention and getting more and more, and that really is. It's just getting people excited about what you're doing already, and then excited to see the next one. Um, and with that formula, right, that's how you make one-off clients or one-off
Mhm.
customers or whatever audience members into return, and that's the name of the game.
Yeah. And we've always talked about I think it's been a while since we've touched on this, but growing our fan base. There's so many different ways you can do it, but we love the fact that like every single subscriber that we have, like it feels earned. Like they almost everybody who's subscribed, we know or have met in some way, like have some sort of connection with, where like it feels earned. And so like we've had a lot of little moments, like especially this past like month, like yesterday was our baby shower, and like when Shep and I are like in a building together now, it's like it's Chase and Shep. And so it's funny because like all of my family and Belle's family is there that's like never met Shep, but they all know him,
Sure.
and it's like these little moments, like when we showed up on set to that movie a few weeks ago, just the little things where she's like, Chase is here from Chase and Shep, you're like, fucking a, yes. It's just like those little things, it is pretty cool, it is neat.
It feels really good. I I have had some moments kind of like that too here in LA, just because rolling with Stevie, the vocal
Yeah.
coach, and kind of like what you're saying, where your crowd, like everybody, and it's pretty, I don't know, densely populated. Like there's no bots, there's no, like, everybody's pretty active, like if they're a part of it in the first place.
Right.
And Stevie's very interesting. Unlike a lot of people who have hundreds of thousands of followers, and are newer, he's been in the game for a while. And if you look through his followers, like
Mm.
they're like mostly bigger names. They're mostly people who are like doing the thing, and it's really interesting when you go somewhere with Stevie, because it's like he's also been doing this for 2 decades. So you'll
Right.
get people who will run up and they're just like, "Oh my god, I've been following you since I was 7," and it's like this person's older than me, and I'm now, I'm not in my 20s anymore. So I'm like, "Huh, like this is kind of a cool moment." And it's like the reason I sing, the
Mm.
reason I listen to Whitney Houston, the, like, all these things, and you're like, wow, that's quite a lot to say.
Yeah.
And there's been some pretty cool moments there. I remember I visited last summer before I moved here, and my very first day in LA was sitting outside of a Jennifer Lopez rehearsal on the sidewalk eating pizza, because I couldn't go in, because like they were like, I don't know who you are. And it's just paparazzi across the street, and they're just very confused about who I am. Like I keep getting these glances, and I don't want to say nobody, right? But like I'm not
Right,
no
I'm not with her,
relation.
I'm not.
Yeah, this has nothing to do. And even funnier, to this day, I still like Stevie and Jennifer do stuff fairly often, right?
Mhm.
To this day, I've still never actually seen her in person, even though that day she came out the door I was sitting next to and got into like the car behind us. I just like was sitting there talking to my friend, and he's like, "Oh, it's time to go," and I'm like, "What?" And I look behind us, and like a bunch of doors close, and I'm like, "Oh," it's like
Okay then.
things move quickly. It's just cool. Support team. Support team status. When you're on support team, you just gotta, oh, look at that. Hey! Man,
Huh?
hummus is the cheat code, man. There's no prep time.
Listen,
You can
Solo,
throw so many things on it.
he has had a few moments to step up on the soapbox and talk to us about hummus. He's like, "Have you heard the good word of hummus? Like, you really changed the game for so." But I told him, I was like, you know what though? They did the same thing to me. I was like, I wasn't a hummus eater until I was hanging around those guys either. But look at me now.
That's hilarious.
You're not
I
just changing the music game.
that's cool because I did not get into I did not get into music just for the music. It definitely was to try and make a difference for the better, and that extends to a lot of different things, nutrition and self-care, and yeah, man, numerology and all these sorts of things. But I think even looking into astrology and numerology, all those sorts of things, like they're all just tools, and just like any other tool, if you're not using it in a way that is helpful and self-reflective of your actual circumstances, then it doesn't. It can be something you spend a whole lot of time on. It doesn't really do anything for you. So
Yeah, no, I vibe with that. I vibe with that hard.
I remember my grandma's house one time I went over, and there was this big book on health and like all the things you're supposed to do. And I spent like a couple hours looking through it. And by the time we went home, I was like, we gotta change our diet. We gotta like be outside 8 hours a day and like do it. And my dad's like, calm down, Grant. Like, if you do all the things in those books, like you're never gonna have time for anything else. Like that's like the point when they write those books is to try and sell it and make it, like if you want to spend more and more time on things, like these are all the things you can do. But you can't, you got to pick and choose what works for you and what fits into your schedule, because if it breaks up your whole schedule to do it, it's just not going to be sustainable. And more I'm thinking sustainability is like the game move. Obviously there are certain things sometimes you got to do, pick up an extra job, DoorDash for a couple nights or whatever it is. I've had to do the same thing. But it really is, I think the more we can do things in a sustainable way, if you can pay for your bills right now, that's going to have compound interest benefits coming down the line. And that's making a career, that's being a musician, an artist, a father, whatever it is, right? It's just those small little steps, one thing at a time.
Yeah, no, it really is. And then you get yourself to a point where you're like, I'm in a good spot. Like, this is what's up. I like this.
And that feeling is priceless. Super. That peace
It
of
is, man.
mind, the self-assurance.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. I love it. I love
that's all I can ask for.
it. Yeah, it's like that's where we're all heading. That's where we're all
Go
trying
ahead.
to get to. Oh, I was just saying that's where we're all trying to get to.
The almighty peace of mind.
That is the self-assurance thing, man. I remember making the decision whether or not I was going to move to LA, and one of the things that helped push me over the edge in the decision was, as a friend once said to me, they were like, I had an offer to become, CEO or executive of this tech company, basically, and they were like, that would have developed me in a business sense, but what I really wanted was to develop myself in this music sense. And so instead, they went into the music entrepreneur agency like route and started working with artists and getting more knowledgeable about the business and all that. And they could have made more money necessarily one way initially, but because this is really what they're involved in and passionate about, this is something that they're going to continue for years and years and years. And all those little connections build on top of each other. And all of a sudden now when you meet this artist and they need a producer, they need help getting distribution, they need merchandise, they need a graphic design artist, you
Yes. This is all very interesting.
Yes, indeed.
one of the big things too for me in coming out here that I anticipated wanting for myself was that there were certain aspects of living in a smaller town where your cost of living is less, where you don't have as much of a pressure to, like, you need to make things happen. And so certain times where older me, younger me would have been a little more timid in my approach, and nowadays it's not that you have to be forceful, but it's just, hey, I'm gonna go up here and ask for what I want.
Mhm.
And if they say no, cool. I'm gonna go over there and ask for the thing I want. And lo and behold, also being in a bigger city, like there's a lot more people you can go to in the first place. So it's a little bit, even though there is more pressure to like, okay, I've got to, make something happen in the next couple weeks or whatever.
Mhm.
It also is a little bit less pressure because you don't feel like you have to make everything happen with every single, and that's not, I mean, I think everyone will get the truth of this. Like, it's not good to try and force every encounter. Like, certain things are just not meant to be, whether it's the timing, whether it's just a personality matchup thing.
Mhm.
Like, I, you guys have been doing this for a while. Could you imagine doing this with just like anybody every day? Like,
It's funny that you mentioned that. That's literally what we were talking about before you got on here. Since my baby's getting ready to be born, we were talking about the next few Mondays, and he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "That's gonna be weird to have to take on a different co-host for a little bit." Yeah,
Yeah, take on a different co-host, or even just go solo dolo. If I have
yeah,
to do that and go a Monday by myself, would be kind of weird.
yeah.
Um, but
Which
hey, we're prepared again. I could
right,
go on uh, a tangent if I was like, all right, this is it. I'm going live. I'm gonna tell you guys about like music, my music history. We're gonna go day one till 2013, 23. Jesus Christ, and 2013 would be on there too, though. But I could probably go for at least 3-4 hours on that if I really sat down.
that's great. I can't wait
man,
to tune in week to week with my baby, watching the history of Johnny Cash.
It's what I'd probably do.
VH1 exclusive.
Just break it into a 4-part series.
man, that'd be pretty cool. I remember very happily sitting and listening to you and asking questions, especially the Navy Days story. I mean, there's a lot of stories that you have music wise, but those Navy Days stories were pretty cool in particular to me. Um, I I think at the time it was early Rogue Tendency, and I was
Right.
really pushing on doing collaborations with just anybody I could and everybody I could. And I think that's when you were telling me that you were just doing collaborations like constantly with all the people on your shit, and everybody you'd meet, and then
Yeah.
just freestyling, going through towns.
Yeah.
'Cause
Just
nobody
trying to
freestyles.
talk them into it. You know what I'm saying? That was our big thing, is just talking people into it. Like, come on, man. We're out here going in circles for 2 weeks. You ain't got nothing else to do. Like, shit, I'll write it for you, man. I don't care. Just record this for me. I want you on this track. And yeah, I mean, those are great. Even now, I had a friend I work with recently. He took a broke down external hard drive that a dude I knew had from in the Navy, and got a bunch of that music off for me. So now I can go back and I can jam all those tracks. And yeah, there's like I remember like one dude was like just the cook, and I remember him being like, I don't rap, and we're like, fuck it, come drop a verse, and he's like, all right. Like, we played him the song, and he's like, all right, let me see, let's see. And he wrote something, and he's all like, yeah. And that was my favorite, like when it came to music, that was my favorite aspect of it, because that's kind of how it started when I was in my teens and stuff. Like, sure, like me, Low, Pudgy, and D'Angelo was really, crafting in and zoning in on what we wanted to do as hip hop artists at that time. But we'd take somebody like Dobbs and be like, all right, Dobbs, you're getting on this track with us. Fuck it, we're all getting drunk tonight. You're getting on this track. And he would, man, and so to take people that didn't want to be in that world or didn't want to do that world, and to be able to give them something that then they like. I think everything that I've done's turned out hot. So then to give them something that sounds really good, that's like, man, this is yours and whatnot. I think that's great. That's what made me fall in love with music. And I would hope, um, maybe the teenage years ones, but hopefully most of those guys maybe still have them tracks and jam them when I know I'm gonna show my grandkids my stuff if Carson pops any kids out when they grow up. I'm gonna be like, oh, listen to that. Look at all these videos on YouTube, man.
Facts. Yeah.
Like,
Definitely. I love. Is that Lou Dobbs? that he's asking him?
It's Austin Dobbs. Dobber do. Yes,
Awesome.
Bill.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill. We had Dobbs on plenty of tracks back in the day. Green Team.
Green Team.
Yeah.
I love how you're able to convince people that are like, I'm not a musician, I don't record, I don't make music, and they're like, no, we're just having fun. We're just doing the damn
Yeah.
thing. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. It's incredible how creative people when you can just make them comfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fascinating to me. I just love that.
It really is.
I met somebody 5 months ago, something like that now. Maybe more. I guess it's going fast. All right. I met them at the end of last year, and they have a studio. And so, you know me, I'm like, you have a studio, you say. And
Right.
so pretty soon I'm over there like 4 or 5 days a week, and I now have my setup over there, and like have access to the building and things, and I've started taking clients there, and I've written for an artist or two, and I'll record whenever I'm around and available. I've made beats for some and it's cool to be a part of things and tap in here. And it's I mean, there were a bunch of talented people back home too, but anytime you meet someone that just wows you, it's always just like, where have you been? And I love that feeling.
Yeah.
Because it just keeps telling me that as small as the world can be sometimes, even in LA, you still there's just so much possibility, so much opportunity.
There is.
And I remember I read a book that was called Steal Like an Artist, and they were talking about anytime you go out and talk to people, just remember how small of a world it is. If you plan to keep continuing in your field of industry, the list of people that are going to continue this for decades is going to get real small, and people are going to remember. So play nice, because it is going to come back to you, whether or not you believe in karma. I have a feeling that you're going to see some interest, negative or positive, based on how you follow up. So that is something I do try and, man, there will be some emails, because I do a lot of email and messaging for clients, and I'll get some messages, and it's just like, ooh, this person is very presumptive about how time is used, and what's owed them, and all these sorts of things. And it's like they're sending 3 pages of information and 20 songs and all this stuff, and it's like I'll spend like days talking to management team and like a client and other people, sometimes just really trying to be nice in my response, and like, hey, I want you to know that like I saw all that stuff. I appreciate the time you took. That took a lot of consideration that we would need to try and get to the next step that you're looking for. And then also try and be like, these are some things you can do to like make it more likely. And it's fascinating because at first there was a little bit of an overwhelming feeling when I would get those messages, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to like talk to like 7 people 3 separate times, and like draft this several times, and like realistically all they really need was like a yes or no. Like I could have just done that, but there's been several instances where it wound up being a client, wound up being a return client, wound up being someone that then did other business with us or had connections for other things, and none of that would have happened if I had just said yes or no. And it's been a bit of an art trying to figure out, because you guys both know, if I get to talking, I catch the momentum. And so it is tricky sometimes. Just, okay, what do they want? I'm going to only answer this. They asked for more. Okay, here we go.
Right.
Yeah, I got a bunch more for you, bud. That's pretty dope, though, man. I mean, that all sounds really interesting. Just as far as the day to day goes, like I'd really like just going about it like that. I mean, I would really be feeling like I'm part of that industry now. I'm out there, I'm a part of this industry. I'm talking to agents, I'm in these clients, and like you're saying, like seeing all these people come in through the studios out there, here in the 217, we have people killing it, undoubtedly, and they're out there and they are chasing that dream. They are out there actively striving and chasing that dream. But there are a lot of us, like Johnny Cash himself, that I just love making music, man. Like if the chance arise, if someone popped up and was like, "Yo, I really dig this. I want to do something." Hell yeah, baby, let's roll. I'm down for that. But I'm not actively out there trying to do it. So I would think you would definitely get a much different vibe from those people that you see coming through the studios out there, because they're focused. They have a goal, they have a drive, they know where they want to be and where they're trying to go. So I'm sure it is a different vibe of crews that you encounter.
To a certain extent, yeah. I mean, people are still people, right? No
Yeah.
matter
Oh
where
yeah.
you put them. So a lot of the same pitfalls or habits or whatever will come up, but you do see, you see, how do I say this? One thing that I really loved about LA when I first came here that was exciting for me is that everyone's, the perception is that everyone's out here like pursuing the dream, right? Going for it.
Mhm.
And because the cost of living is so high, it's like you're sacrificing something. You moved away from family, it's expensive. You gotta live someplace you don't want to. You have a shared room with 8 people. Like I almost moved into one like last week. So definitely thought about it. I was like, I do want to save a lot of money,
Right.
but
I feel that.
do I want to share a bathroom with up to 12 people? I don't know. I don't know if that's for me in my 30s now. Anyway,
True.
gonna knock on wood. But as you get out here and you have the like everybody's pushing for their ambitions, it's cool too, because when you go and talk to people and you're like, they're like, what do you do? What are you doing? What are you out here for? And you explain your thing. Of from Champaign, where I'm from, where depending on who I'm talking to, I used to work in restaurants. So when people are like, "Oh, are you a student?" and I'm like, "I'm an alumni. I have a Spanish degree. I am a musician and producer," and they more than half of the people would be like, "Oh," and would like disconnect or withdraw because they don't know what happens after that, but they know I'm working in a restaurant, so they assume it's not working, it's not happening, like something, right? And here, you prompt that sort of thing, and people are like, "That's awesome! Tell me what you're doing." And it's like, "Oh, it was almost like going to your first college parties all over again, like the good experiences where you're like, huh, everybody is excited to meet me. Everybody wants to know my contact information. They found out I'm a musician and they want to listen to my music. Like, who are these people? They're excited about life." Not to say that people in Champaign aren't excited about life, but you know what I'm saying with the pushing each other and all that. There's a sense that I had, at the very least, coming from Champaign, where it was like you almost don't want to push people too much, like it's the wrong sort of pressure, because of course mental health is always a big concern, and over the past several years, especially since COVID, it seems that people are being a little bit more conscious of that decision to speak about it, to try and support it. It's interesting to see the transition and communication tools that people are using for that. For example, it's Mental Health Monday or whatever, right? So I feel like I can talk about this. Someone was talking to me, they're in a tough spot, and past versions of me would have been like, "Yeah, that sucks." And maybe would have stopped there, or would have been like, "Cool, this is my advice." And now I'm a little bit better about like, "Cool, do you just want me to listen? Do you want advice?" And that's a really good thing, but also just asking people what they're doing for stress management. And I find that that is a question that is so disarming for so many people, myself included. Because if you were like, "Grant, what are you doing for stress management?" I'd be like, I'm watching my diet. I go to the gym every day. Like I get up every day and I'm like, cool, what am I doing to try and regulate my emotions so that if any, particular bad thing happens or something doesn't come out the way I wanted to, then it doesn't ruin my whole day. I can just keep going and looking for the next opportunity. And it is doing those everyday sort of habits where they become a part of you and you're just like, cool, this is, it didn't work out today. That's fine. I for me, like going to the gym is a huge boost for me with my self esteem, just
Yeah.
because I hate working out to a certain extent. And so I know if I work out in the morning and go do other things afterwards, I'm like, I ran 3 miles this morning. This is easy. Like I'll just go a little slower. Like that's fine.
I'm fine
I
with that.
just
Yeah.
so much more patient. Yeah.
I feel that.
What are some things you guys do for stress management?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not gonna lie. That the time I spent, over at your place, working with you guys and everything, like there was a lot that I took from that experience, and a lot of it, like, not just on a creative level, but like the hummus, but also, the stretches and the breathing exercises, like, just the chill environment is, it was a sort of refuge sometimes, for sure, where it's like I knew if I was stressed, I'd be a little better if I just went over there and chilled for a minute, especially like on a Sunday when y'all were just cooking and vibing, and I knew it was a safe, calm place to just get the mind right, reset. And so I definitely took a lot of that with me, moving forward as well. Like I do a lot of the stretches and the breathing exercises still, and I try to, eat like Easy's feeding me, like just those little things for sure.
Put some little microgreens in your mouth.
Yeah, I love it. I find every time I can't buy Sprouts without thinking of them. But and then there's so many things that I've had to learn recently that I'm only gonna continue to learn once my own child is here. But I watch a 3-year-old, and that has been a lot of prep, and it's introduced me to all sorts of new versions of stress, where it's like, okay, I know how to deal with stress with adults, but what do I do for the kid? Like, how do I handle this? And I know Sheppy and we had a nice talk last week, and I feel like that helped out a lot and dropped a lot of advice for me. But yeah, just
What-
being able to talk
what-
with the homies definitely is a good stress reliever.
Yeah, bro.
Being
And
able
right,
to share advice, man.
Yeah.
That's so key.
and it's good too because I know I've told you this before, G. But like your really good advice you give people comes from your own mistakes. So if you're somebody like me and you've kind of messed up a few times, then you've got some really solid advice to hand out. Another thing that's been helping me. One of my questions I do have for you, G. This would kind of play into, though, for us, it's getting warm out, so to be able to open the windows to let the air in, to be able to get back in touch with nature, everything's growing and stuff.
Yeah.
Just such a weight lifted off your shoulders type of feeling, man, to have that. But I was gonna ask at some point, how did it feel going through winter out there?
Winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I don't have another winter out here to compare it to, right? I'm told this was a extremely nasty winter.
Well, I
out
know it got
here.
I know you guys got snow out there this time or something, didn't you?
We did, I saw it from afar on mountaintops. I never saw it in person, like
Okay.
up
Okay.
close. There was admittedly a lot of rain for a little while, which I'm coming to now. When it gets cloudy and it rains, I'm like, what is this? What is this nonsense? No one invited this.
Is this snow?
What is this? Man, there was I think in January there was like a week or two where it just rained like every day, And I remember being like, huh, all right, this is like a seasonal thing. I'll just have to get used to here. And then I'd like run into people that were friends of mine that I'd made that are like from here. And they're just like, it's the fucking apocalypse, man. And I'm like, it's just so funny to me.
I
You know
used to
what?
get that when I lived in Tennessee. Like if it snowed, like we would have a snow day, and like at the end of the day, we'd be in like shorts and tank tops, like riding our bikes. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I definitely remember growing up and riding around in bicycles through like slushy snow and in shorts, and like your mom's yelling after you to like wear a coat, and you're like, I'm a rebel. I'm 7 years old. I do what I want. And,
I don't
And it's like
have
75 degrees already. So
yeah, that is one thing. Because of its desert climate or whatever here, depends on exactly where you are, but it's desert climate for a lot of it. So when it gets, drops 10, 20 degrees, it's like 50s. And when I'm in Illinois, I think 50s, I'm like, all right, maybe a light jacket,
mhm.
pants, shorts could go either way. Is there sun? Here, when it's 50 degrees, I'm like, cool. I'm gonna bring a jacket. I'm gonna have a second jacket in the car, and then I got pants, and I need to make sure I got long socks on because that wind is like I'm all of a sudden in Chicago. That shit is not playing around. It is different.
So
Different.
the wind, you got to take it, folks. You either get wind or you get snow.
Yeah,
It's been windy as
just
shit
weird.
here lately too, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I love the wind, so as long as I'm prepared, I'm like,
True. Yeah.
I did not realize just how much I don't know that I ever had like seasonal affective disorder, whatever it is. Sad, but but I do know that being able to get out and just walk around so often
Mhm.
here has been huge. There were a couple weeks where I was going on hikes like 5 days a week.
That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
what's up. Yeah.
That's
They got a
nice.
lot of nice spots out there for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, you only got to go.
See what I mean? It's this type of freezing that's so confusing. He stopped to think, and
He
then
was
he
really
froze.
calculating, folks.
He goes, "Well, let me." It's just like he finished the sentence. He was in full thought mode, and it's like, is he frozen or is he just really thinking about this?
Now
I bet
I feel like I
of
should
all the
mess.
people who have lagged on this show, nobody's had better timing with it than you.
That's very true. That is very true.
I do what I can. I do what I can. That's I guess that's the musician and actor in me. I don't know.
But yeah, how's the live music compare out there? Like I would assume you would have tons more places. You know what I'm saying? Compared to especially like doing like a hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Compared to Champagne, but I would wonder if out there it's not more so a Chicago style of, well, you can, you're gonna have to pay some money to get on this bill if you want to get involved, type of thing.
Pay to play is going to be a thing like most places you go.
Yeah.
That's just unfortunately that is when you are a business owner and you have the space, the venue, you have a lot of leverage, right?
Right.
And you can do it a lot of different ways. There's a lot of people out here where they are because there's so many events going on and there's so many people that will take advantage of a situation if it's left open. There will be like small mom and pop shops that are doing contracts for like small shows, or a flower shop that also has a venue space, and it's like, cool, it's $200 an hour, and you're like, okay, I could maybe do a 2 or 3 hour show and bring some people, and then they'll be like, it's a 5 hour minimum, and you're like,
I'm saying.
Yeah, that's $1,000. All right. What are we doing for ticket prices? We're doing like $100 a person. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So there's definitely a bigger push here to make the production of shows that much more. It did feel like in Champaign, it was like we just got everybody agreed to show up, and you're like the fans, and you were like, no, like the performers, and you're like, oh, great. Like here it's like, cool. Did you guarantee 100 people before we booked the place? And you're like, what? And you're like, yeah. And then we also need to know that there's a celebrity showing up. We need to have catering. You do need to have event insurance. We need to have this. And you're just like, oh, this is like $5,000 to put on a 150 person event. Okay, let's revisit a couple items. And that's again where like having leverage is huge, is everything. Because if you have a career, if you have a great album, if you already have some sponsors with big names, then you can start going places and being like, hey, we're going to guaranteed bring 200 people. In fact, we're going to have to cut things off at 200 people. These are the ticket prices. I've already like pre-sold a show for the month of July. We've got 2 months. I'd love to do this at your venue. This is what I can bring to the table. These are the people I'm bringing. I have a content team. I have a catering truck that wants to come. We're not paying them. They're just going to charge people and keep their money. In fact, because we're going to do a couple shows with them, we're going to get 10% of what they make. And that also encourages us to promote their brick and mortar spot. And maybe they can get some other catering business from it. So like it really starts to become this like
huge sort of thing, I feel.
Yeah.
Like huge.
Like a machine.
Yeah.
and
Everybody's got to have something in it.
even the small, like, I'm trying to run some community events out of a studio. And so even then it's people. So one thing that we're very lucky to have in Illinois is the underwater aquifer over there, and our quality of water out of the tap is like some of the best in the country. Here in LA, surprise, a lot of industries that may or may not be regulated as they should, that are perhaps dumping lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things into the waterways. And so one of the first things you learn when you live here is you are not supposed to drink the tap water. And
Villa Grove rules. I vibe.
shit, I gotta go down the street to a thing for the water. Like they're not gonna drink the tap. And so even throwing a community events, like people expect there to be water, people expect there to be liquor necessarily, people expect there to be snacks. And if you don't have those things, you can get people still, but you have to completely depend upon the pre-established relationships that you have, or really strong references, or having something there where it's like, cool, you should show up because SZA is going to come through for like an hour, right? Like there's some guaranteed value where it's like, you're not going to want to miss this. And that is one thing about LA where it's like, there's constantly, people getting paid to just show up and be at things so that they can bring other people to them. So going back to your question, sorry, there are opportunities. Totally. There's tons of opportunities. It is not super clear how to find all of those opportunities. COVID definitely did a huge number on like closing pre-established venues that had long-standing ties to the community. And then just the way things kept changing, it would be like, cool, that place is still around, that's been around for 2 decades, but they don't do any of the shows that they used to because they couldn't make any money that way for 2-3 years. And so now they are like way consolidated. They were a cafe that made a lot of money from their like open mics and other things. Now they do like a whole lot of delivery and catering and like have one show a month or something. So there's a lot of you can feel you can feel it like bubbling under the surface, where there's just, especially with COVID restrictions, like having just been officially pushed back in another way on a national basis. There's a lot of energy looking for places, and it's not always clear where they can go. And so that is one gap that, like with my studio and my studio events, that we're currently trying to get tapped into more is getting into that. And one of the tricky things too is everybody's looking for something that's a little different. You know, this person's a live instrumentalist. What studio do you go to? Because the past 5 studios they've been to, they only work with rappers, they only work with vocalists, they only make beats, they whatever it is, they only rent out the space, but there's no engineer attached, there's no laptop, there's no software, but they've got all the other gear. So it really is about creating accessibility, making it extremely visible, and then focusing it and targeting your right audience.
Yeah, no, I can vibe with that for sure.
Yeah.
A week hangout, and then once a week more focused, so that we can start to build up these little sections of the community. So still experimenting with things. We've had some better success with certain events than others, but definitely a lot of excitement. It's just tricky too, because you might be like, cool, we're going to do this thing on Friday that, you know, I've talked to 6 people they want to go to, and all of a sudden, like, half of those people just got invited to a red carpet event with an hour's notice, and it's like, sorry about you, they're going to go for this once in a lifetime opportunity. And that is another thing that you have to
I feel like red carpet, I'd be like, I understand.
Yeah. At the same time, you'll find some red carpet at events that are not what you would expect when you imagine a red carpet event. Because
Okay. Yeah.
as it turns out, it's $200 for a roll of red carpet and another $300 for that step and repeat banner behind that has some very fancy logos on it. But as long as they do, you know, a show a week with those same sponsors, they can do that for the next month and make their money back easy. So it is interesting to see. I went to an event when I was here like week 2, and I was like, oh, there's red carpet and like a big banner. And the person I was with was like, yeah, they're at like every event. And they just like kept going. And I was like, we're not going to get a pic. Okay. Next time. Just like, so.
Well, we are nearing the end of the show, so I suppose that means we need to do our closing thoughts here. One time for the mind. I'll go ahead and start. I will say just do the thing. This is a message we've repeated a billion times, but definitely just do it, and don't listen to other people when it comes to measuring your success. Because I've even, like, you know, we've had one of the best months ever this past month in all our time doing the Chase and Shep thing, and it's like I was really riding that high, and then it's like you get around certain people again for just a short amount of time, and all it takes is like a comment or two to start bringing that self-doubt back on. And I definitely started feeling that pretty heavy the past like week, but then I have to remind myself, it's like, look at all the shit you did, you know. I simply tell myself, you know, I measure my own success, and I'm like, you know, in 2020 I was still a laborer in April, and I was like, that's what I was doing. And I said around May, I was like, hey, I want to take that leap of faith and do the creative thing. And it's like, yeah, it's taken some time, but here we are 3 years later, and it's like I can say that for a full month I was working on video projects, film projects. I was on at least like 3 different sets over the course of the month, and it was like it was a blast. And the fact that that takes up more of my time now is a success to me. So yeah, definitely measure your own success and just do the thing.
Such a dope message. Um, I would say my one time for the mind this week is that it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So if you need to take a second for yourself, take a second for yourself. If you need somebody to listen, just reach out. Plenty of us are here to do that. There's 8 billion of us here on the planet, actually. So plenty of us around to do that. So please reach out. And it's warming up all around. So get out, reconnect with nature, give the ground a little kiss, and you know,
Yeah.
chill out, man.
Totally. I think keeping grounded, getting outside, working out, being around nature and things is a great way to shake up your perspective. And touching on what Chase said there, really surrounding yourself with people who are not going to doubt you. Because really, you can do anything if you put the right mind to it, the right amount of time and attention. So put your time and attention where you want it to multiply. And if the people around you are not supporting the vision you have, that doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person for not wanting to be around them. But the more you're around people who believe in you and what you are wanting to achieve, you're just going to save so much time, so much stress. And really, again, it is so much easier to be creative and be your best you when you have less stress. It's just that simple. And so, yeah, take a few minutes for yourself and remember that there's always people around that may not be going through the exact same thing, but do want to support. We got.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. And G, what was that studio you're working in? Is it Vibrant Frequency? Is that what I see you share?
It is vibrant.frequency is the studio. Yeah, the person running it, I guess, picked it up right before COVID started, and they were very determined. They held on to it for all these years, and I met them at a time where they were like, I think it's time to finally like make it more visible, brand it, all this stuff. So if you go look us up on Instagram, it's a pretty new page, but we'd love the support. And if you have questions, want advice, tutorials on making music, logic, how to do royalties, how to take care of yourself, that's what we're here for. So
he is the man on all that. Like I said, he's given me all the kind of knowledge I got on all that. So very, very much facts there. Hit him up. Vibrant.frequency on Instagram. Humbly G everywhere else on all streaming platforms. Get it, Humbly G. Jam it. And I'm not just throwing that out there because I'm on some stuff. I'm just saying, get out there and jam it. It's good. It's good ass music, dude. I've always loved the music you've done. I love that you just from the get-go just did your own style. So no matter what you come out with, you could come out with some straight country and it wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't be like, whoa, what's it? Because you've just always embraced everything you've wanted to do with music. Glad to hear you're doing well out there in LA. Like I said, I'd be seeing the stuff you be sharing and stuff. And if I'm ever out there in the area, you best believe I'm a pop in and give some smiles to everybody.
You would be well loved out here, man. The whole team, really. Like it. That is one last thing that I will say is coming out here. I always thought it was going to be like, oh, I'm the small fish in a big pond, and it turns out we've been doing this for a while, fellas.
Yeah.
There's always someone new to the game, and that's it. There's always someone trying to learn how to fish. So.
That's right, man. Right. And it can happen at any moment, folks. Don't stop. Don't give up. Keep going.
Facts. G, it was great catching up with you. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week.
Facts on facts. Love you, brother.
Thanks so much for having me.
Smooches and deuces, everybody.
Much love.